Hey everyone, it's Alaina with the Hancock Group. I am here today with Erin. She is the Director of Programs for WithAll. Thank you so much for being here. Tell me a little bit about WithAll and what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So WithAll is a nonprofit that's really focused on eating disorder prevention and support services. And so we do that work through our two flagship programs, our recovery support program that serves folks who are seeking treatment for an eating disorder, and then our prevention program, What to Say, which really works with adults who are influential in kids' lives to help them shift the way they talk to kids about food and body and movement and kind of everything related to that.
I absolutely love it. Starting in the home kind of before seeking treatment is such an important thing. And I think there's been such a big shift in how we go about talking to our kids around food, but not a lot of people know what to say at the time. Yeah. So how long has this program kind of been going on?
WithAll has been around since 2007, formerly known as the Emily Program Foundation, but shifted to be WithAll in 2019 when we changed our name, really marking this new focus on prevention and being able to support folks seeking treatment in a much bigger way. Our What to Say program has really been kind of around since 2018 or 2019 and has really evolved and grown into this much larger movement, really thinking about how do we get in front of as many adults as possible. Like you mentioned, really thinking about helping equip them with the tools they need to really think about how they can help young people develop this kind of sense of what it means to be healthy and enjoy their bodies and enjoy movement and enjoy food in a really joyful and impactful way that really helps them kind of shift the focus away from all these like kind of binary ways that we've traditionally taught young people to think about those things.
Right, so it's kind of getting away from the good versus bad. If you're going to eat this, you should work out type stuff and really focusing more on like we can just live a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really helping kids see that there's a lot more nuance to health than we kind of often teach young people. We really like to think about this kind of good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, clean and not clean, like all these terms that really oversimplify it. And when we oversimplify it, we make it really hard for kids to understand and actually can end up sort of backfiring in a lot of ways. And kids start to think that they're bad for enjoying certain foods or that they're bad if they don't work out after having that thing. And so really trying to separate all of that out and really just help kids develop this more complete understanding of what it means to be healthy.
That's amazing. Where does it kind of start with you guys, or what are the different programs or services that you offer to kind of help people?
Yeah, so in our What to Say program, folks can really come into our program through oftentimes our pledge. So it starts with a 30-second pledge. You fill out this form committing to really rethink the way that you talk to young people about food and body. In doing so, you get access to lots of other resources. So we have guides, we have conversation starters, we have games you can play with kids. We have lots of different tips and tools for adults who are really influential in kids' lives. And we're often talking to parents, but we're also really talking a lot with teachers and coaches and pediatricians and youth workers, anybody really who is influential in a kid's life. And then we often get questions from those folks. Kids like to stump us. They like to say things or do things that we aren't always sure how to respond. And so we collect those questions and we're able to then tap into our network to have different experts or other folks help answer those questions. Because if you have that question, chances are a lot of other people have that question too. And then in addition to our What to Say program, we do also have our recovery support program. So for folks who are living with an eating disorder and are currently seeking intensive treatment, they can access living expense grants through us. So that's to help pay for housing, groceries, gas, childcare, any of these things that really are often stand in people's way of being able to take the time that they need to get well. So they can apply for those grants. We follow them the entire treatment journey and really take care of their greatest needs while they're seeking treatment.
Oh, that's really, really nice too, because I think a lot of the barrier to, especially when you try to seek treatment, is being able to afford it. Mm-hmm. It is expensive. So that's really, really nice being able to offer something like that as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of programs out there who are doing great work to help folks afford things like Copays and some of these other things that come up. But for a lot of folks taking time off of work, for example, to be able to attend treatment or knowing what to do with their children while they're in treatment, or oftentimes they're being challenged to try new foods, and groceries we all know are insanely expensive right now. And so really helping them think about like how can they have less of those barriers in their way so that they can really just focus on the things that they need to do to get well.
Wonderful, I love that. And I know you guys just had an event recently in Waconia, and I'm assuming you plan on doing more events like that at some point. Can you tell me a little bit about what that event was and what you did with the community?
Yeah, so we recently did an event at Mac and Thunes where we kind of kicked off some work that we're doing in Waconia really focused on how do we, all of these things we're talking about, but doing so in a way that really gets us out into the community. So a lot of our resources live on our website, which is really amazing, and having the opportunity to just get out and meet with folks and share resources and answer questions kind of in real time and have conversations is a really great way that we're trying to really expand the work that we're doing. We've picked a few different areas around Minnesota and South Dakota that we're doing some of this work, but in particular Waconia, you know, I was reviewing some recent survey data. 1 in 4 kids in Carver County are struggling with mental health concerns. About 70% of girls and 45% of boys are reporting that they're dissatisfied with their bodies, which is a really big predictor of kids going on to develop eating disorders. And so really thinking about like, how can we get into some of these communities where we know we can have really great impact and meet with adults and have those conversations with them and share resources.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what are like 3 things that parents today or even coaches could do to start promoting body positivity?
Yeah, so we really think there's kind of 3 really easy ways that adults can really talk to young people about this topic. And the first thing is really making sure that we're never singling kids out. And so anytime that we feel like maybe you do have a young person who you're trying to kind of help motivate to maybe find some new ways to enjoy movement or things like that, not singling out like one member of a family. And if it's really about health, we can really make this about a thing that we're doing together as a family. So instead of saying like, hey, you really need to get outside today, you can say like, hey, what if we all took a walk together or went on a bike ride together? So really finding ways to make it about joy and about doing those things together as a family. And even as a coach or a parent or a teacher or anything like that, you can still think about it in that kind of similar way. And the next thing I would really recommend is not talking about weight, even your own weight, or even in seemingly positive ways. So anytime that we're really talking to young people or in front of young people about weight, kids can sometimes hear those messages and internalize them and start to really wonder about their own bodies. And kids as young as 5 are starting to like notice those really serious physical comparisons. 5 years old, yeah. So really being just aware of the way that we're talking about bodies in front of young people and not making it about weight is really important. And then kind of the other piece of that is then not talking about diet, especially in these really kind of non-binary binary ways, the good, the bad, the healthy, unhealthy, those types of things. And instead really focusing on the full experience that they're having, making sure that we're finding balance across a set of days as opposed to just one day, really thinking about it in a more complete way can be really hugely impactful for young people. And then I'll just add maybe bonus tip or fun other thing is really just, I always remind parents and other adults, like, you're not always going to do this right, and that's perfectly okay. So even making some like really small shifts, really tiny changes to the ways that we're talking to young people about these things can really have a huge impact on them. And so don't stress out if you say or do something that you're like, ooh, I didn't mean to say it like that. That's okay. You can keep making those small changes along the way.
Wonderful. And especially the last 2 tips that you gave too about like not really talking about your weight or not really talking about your diet. I know growing up, I feel like I just was surrounded by that. And you know, you kind of bring all of that with you into college and later years in life. And so now that we are having a kid, I'm making sure, or trying to ahead of time, make sure that we kind of set our kid up for success. So those are really good tips, at least right off the bat. But if people want more tips, more information, where can they go to find you?
Yeah, so on our website, whattosaynow.org is really chock full of great information, tips, tools. That's where you can find everything I talked about today, and also where we will continue to post information about different events and other things that we have coming up, and folks can submit their own questions and get answers that way as well.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here today, Erin, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.